Christmas, everyone! Yeah, shame on me for doing a Christmas video when we're almost at the end of January. I'm really sorry for delaying this project. For those of you who don't know, I really overworked myself on one of my alternate channels in 2022. And because of that, I didn't have much time to make a lot of videos on this channel, so yeah, please forgive me. Well, look at it this way. You can still watch it during the actual Christmas season in the future if you feel like it. Anyways, MarioMario54321. I have been a fan of this guy for 12 years at this point, and since then, he's become quite possibly one of my favorite YouTubers. He's made a lot of very fun videos over the years, and I thought it would be a good idea to do a list ranking all of his Christmas specials, starting from the weakest and slowly making my way up to the best. The only rule here is that I won't be including the one from 2011, which was just a message. I'm not saying it's wrong that we didn't get one that year, but I just don't think it would be fair to put what's not really a special on the list, for then it would have to be very low on it, and I don't want to criticize it for something that I can't really blame this guy for. Speaking of criticizing, I might get a little harsh at times in this video, especially in the bottom two entries. And if I do, then I deeply apologize for that. I don't mean any disrespect to this user. So with that said, let's get started. Since we're ranking all of his Christmas specials, we of course have to start with what I think is the weakest of them. And that wasn't a very hard choice for me. The nabbit who nabbed this project's quality, I mean Christmas. Okay, I guess this could be worse, but it just feels more like a filler Christmas special. It's a neat idea of killing two birds with one stone, doing a video promoting a game that was, at the time, one of the more recent Mario games, and doing a Christmas special, both for the price of one, even though I have no real reason to play New Super Luigi U, but that's besides the point. My problem with it is that it doesn't really feel like a Christmas special. Sure, Nabbit is stealing Christmas decorations, but you can literally just replace the words Christmas decorations with the word furniture or money, and you'd have the same video. We don't even get to see any of the Christmas decorations themselves except for the star. Heck, it doesn't even feel remotely like a Christmas special until the 2-minute mark, and even then, it stops feeling like a Christmas special again after that. You guys remember last year when I did my Everything Wrong with Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas? How one of the things I said was how the Goofy segment had pretty much nothing to do with Christmas? Well, even that felt more Christmassy than this video, because at least then we actually had snow and Christmas decorations throughout the segment. Here, however, it has like 2 ice levels, with the other levels not even being remotely winter themed. Instead, we get stuff like a grassland, a mountain with fire bars, a castle, and a desert. Yeah, nothing says winter like the desert. At least make it look like a Christmas special. I mean, for heck's sake, this game is an entire world full of ice levels, and you only use 2 of them? Let alone when one isn't even really a level? I understand that Christmas specials don't have to look like Christmas specials throughout the entire thing. I mean, Christmas 2 is a masterpiece, and it doesn't really look Christmassy until the second half. But at least it feels like a Christmas special. This doesn't. Heck, I'll even say Goons on the Moon felt more like a Christmas special than this. Probably the best things I can say about this video is that Luigi's reaction to a comment that this Enzo guy left got a chuckle out of me, and so did the part where Luigi rewinded the footage to try to reach the top of the flagpole near the end. But that's about it. It's only fitting that I wouldn't like the special, considering how I honestly don't really like Nabbit. I'm really sorry, MarioMario54321. I don't mean to come off as someone who hates your videos. Your content is very enjoyable, and I'm proud to be a fan of you. But I also expect better from you. MarioMario54321's 2012 Christmas Special. A video which, while better than the Nabbit Who Nabbed Christmas, still isn't one of this user's better videos. So in this video, Mario was stuck decorating the entire castle because the others never showed up. Yeah, sounds very mean-spirited, doesn't it? Well, it's about as mean as it sounds. Well, almost. The premise is that he wants to find the others and give them a piece of his mind. He tries looking in Cool Cool Mountain, but without any success, until he finally finds them chilling out, no pun intended, in an ice cave, where he does find that the others do feel bad for him, and they try to find a way to make it up to him. I would have given this video credit for that, if not for what Mario suggests that they do. He says that they can make it up to him by filling in a few paintings and bricks that he neglected to decorate. Okay, I don't think that decorating a few paintings and bricks is enough to make it up to someone for making them decorate the entire castle, but whatever. But then, guess what? Mario decides to decorate the paintings with them. Yeah, his way of having them make it up to him also involved him also doing more work after he had already been forced to decorate an entire castle all by himself. I'm sorry, but that's not good enough. If you ask me, a much better way of them making it up to him would be after Christmas, when it's time to take down the decorations, Everyone should work on them except for Mario. And before any of you say, oh, well that would have made him look lazy, do I need to remind you who broke his back working on the entire castle all by himself? That's not lazy, that's getting a well-deserved break. I'm sorry, but this ending does not leave me satisfied at all. Mario deserves a break after all that he had to do, so he should have gotten one, but he didn't. Are there any praises I can say about the special? Well, aside from the decorations looking beautiful, which is kind of a given, I like the uses of the Route 22 theme from Black and White 2. That was pretty awesome. And the way they parodied that insulting plot twist at the end of the SpongeBob episode Gone was kind of funny, especially since unlike then, they were just kidding about the part and didn't actually intend to abandon him. And I will give it points for feeling somewhat like a Christmas special, which makes this at least better than the Nabbit Who Nabbed Christmas, but this is still not a very impressive video by this user's standards. Again, not trying to come off as someone who hates this user's content. MarioMario54321's 2014 Christmas special. This isn't necessarily one of his better Christmas specials, but it's still not half bad. The first thing I like is the usage of the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire version of Slateport City's theme at the beginning. I'll talk about later why I like the usage of Slateport City's theme for the Christmas specials, but I will bring up how I like the usage of the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire version of the song here, because it's a great way to celebrate the release of games that were recent at the time. And even has Freezy Z Peak from Banjo-Kazooie in it. I didn't expect to see that. As well as a couple other new winter stages that weren't in Mario 64. Those are kinda cool. This special's premise is that there's a new villain who's trying to destroy Christmas. Kind of basic stuff, the conflict doesn't come in until we're almost at the halfway point, and we don't get an explanation as to why it was to destroy Christmas, but at the same time I feel like that's maybe supposed to be the point. And if it is, that works great with the whole otherworldly foe thing, and it had also been 4 years since the last time our heroes actually had to save Christmas, so there's that going for it. The fight itself? Well, nothing groundbreaking. The way it uses a boss that isn't even in Mario 64, that makes the fight with it feel kind of fresh while still being used in the Mario 64 engine. But what puts it this low on the list is the fact that the only things I can really say that I loved about it were the usage of the remake of Slateport's theme and Freezy Z Peak. And I also preferred the older Christmas specials when the castle was actually decorated for Christmas. I mean, I do like how it's a recreation of its Paper Mario design, but it doesn't really fit the Christmas mood. Overall, it could have been better, but it does have some great ideas to appreciate about it. Super Mario 64 bloopers after Christmas. Honestly, I don't have a lot to say about this one since it's only 5 minutes long excluding credits, so I'll try to do the best I can. So this special is about how after Christmas, Mario loses track of time and eventually gets lost and wants to get back to the castle before New Year's, but he ends up stuck in a place called Christmas Land, where Christmas is every day, which, according to Mario, having too much Christmas is bad. Which I can definitely believe because I've seen Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas and the Fairly Odd Parents episode Christmas Every Day, so I can see that being a problem. And I really do like the design of Christmas Land, even if Mario does have to escape from it. Though if there's a problem with it, aside from the short length, it's not like with the Nabbit Who Nabbed Christmas. It almost feels more like a filler Christmas special than anything, especially since it doesn't use a single winter theme in it. Heck, even in Christmas Land, it just uses Near Holly Jolly Village theme from Partners in Time, which, yes, is next to a Christmas-style level, but the road to Holly Jolly Village isn't, nor does its theme sound even remotely Christmas-like. And also probably would have helped if the ground was still covered in snow at the end like you'd expect in December. And yes, I know that not every day in December has snow. I'm also a bit confused as to what's up with the random star sounds at the beginning of the video. Well, at least unlike the Nabbit Who Nabbed Christmas, it still kinda feels like a Christmas special because of the previously mentioned Christmas Land, and at least it kinda has an excuse because it happens after Christmas. So I guess the special's pretty harmless. It's not exactly something I'd happily return to every year, but it's still pretty decent, and since it's only 5 minutes, not counting credits, I guess I could make time for it if I feel like it. The Santa Odyssey is a video that I would say is worth your time. It's not one of the greats, but it's not bad either. It doesn't really have anything at stake, like Santa being in trouble or our hero's Christmas presents being stolen or anything like that. Mario just wants to know what it feels like to track Santa down while he's making his deliveries. Not that there's anything wrong with the stakes being low, it's a pretty unique idea, but also kinda too simple for my tastes. But hey, what can I do? Now for the remainder of this entry, I will be spoiling Mario Odyssey. There are some things I do love about this, such as how instead of the outside of Peach's Castle in Mario 64, it used the outside of Peach's Castle in Mario Odyssey while still keeping Mario's 64 design for the time, which makes it feel like a really awesome transition from 64 to Odyssey. It kinda reminds me of the scene in Wizard of Oz where Dorothy first sets foot into Oz. Though I also feel like it would have been a better transition if Mario eventually switched to his Mario Odyssey design, but maybe that's just me. Any problems in it? Well, the way the music skips when Mario talks to the Koopa, I feel like it was done to have the Koopa keep talking like that, but the music skipping is still kinda distracting, and it could easily be fixed if he just audio swapped the game's audio with the level's respectful theme and the Koopa voice clip. And also the fact that, like in the Nabbit Who Nabbed Christmas, it doesn't spend as much time on a winter level as I feel like a Christmas special should spend. As a matter of fact, we only spent 10 seconds in this game's ice level. But at least unlike then, we can still see Santa Claus passing by, and we hear about him delivering presents to those kingdoms. So it definitely feels more Christmassy than that video. So Mario has to follow Santa to the different kingdoms in Super Mario Odyssey, even to the Moon Kingdom. Oh, and look at that! Santa Claus on the moon! I think this user predicted the SpongeBob episode Goons on the Moon. Then again, I guess he wouldn't be the only Mario recolor to predict that episode. And it does feel satisfying when Mario finally finds Santa Claus, especially with everyone cheering him on. Overall, another Christmas special that can be seen as filler, but it's enjoyable enough. And now for his more recent Christmas special, Christmas in New Donk City, sorta. I have even less to say about this one than about his After Christmas special, because unlike After Christmas, which is only 5 minutes long, this one isn't even 1 minute long. I don't know if he was just too busy to give us a longer one and had to end up cutting it close or whatnot, but in the 1 minute we got, he at least seemed like he tried to do what he could with what he had. It only really has 3 things in it: a parody of the Hotel Mario opening, which is nice to see in my book because I'm glad to see how that classic meme is still alive, a guy named Joe LaMeme delivering stuff, and Cranky Kong who is watching a TV that just happens to be in the middle of town, and laughing at every time Mario is in pain in the new Mario movie trailer, which is something I could definitely imagine Cranky Kong would do. But yeah, MM54321 didn't really do much with this year's Christmas special, which is why it's not higher on the list. I don't really have a good reason for not putting this entry any lower, especially since it doesn't have much to do with Christmas, aside from the snow, and how the song played in the video is much more fitting for Christmas than any of the songs used in that entry put together. While I wish he had time to do more with this, and I am kinda disappointed, I'm not mad, for this was still not half bad way to kill a minute. Let's hope that he has time to put more effort into next year's Christmas special though, assuming he'll be able to do one. Well, only time will tell. Wouldn't you know, in 2010 we got 2 Christmas specials from this user. I'll talk about this one now and the other one later in the list. Anyways, while Merry Christmas 2010 doesn't really stand out, considering how MarioMario54321 made a far better Christmas special in the same year, I mostly see it as a little extra for the year, and this was still a nice video. Even though it's pretty much a given that good people get presents for Christmas, this feels like a nice reward for our hero's work in said other Christmas special. It starts out with the joys of Christmas that you'd expect from a Christmas video, and one of the presents Mario gets is being able to go to a new Christmas carnival hack made by a user named Skellex. This is where most of the video takes place, and the level itself is nice, but also doesn't really feel like a Christmas carnival, aside from the Christmas tree and a few snow patches here and there. And I also don't like Carnival Night Zone's theme as much as I should. And the part where he has to get the red coin star does indeed take a while. Well, at least he warns us about it. Well, it's still a cool level nonetheless, but not as much fun as the last part of the video where we see Mario and his friends having a snowball fight. Oh, and Santa even watches their game. I don't know why, but there's something about that I like. Not to mention the usage of one of his friend's fan characters, Lily, who is pretty cute by the way. So yeah, while it is kind of inferior compared to the other Christmas special we got in the same year, it's still a fun video. How and White Toad Stole Christmas is a video that is definitely much better Stole Christmas video than the Nabbit Who Nabbed Christmas. Wow, I didn't think I'd be complaining about this video this much. But unlike that one, this one doesn't just slap the word Christmas on it and expect it to be something completely different. This one earns its right to be called a Christmas video because it's a parody of the Grinch, with Toad being the one to steal Christmas. Now normally I'm not entirely in agreement with the idea of a good guy being a villain. Okay, I don't complain about it, but I also don't exactly agree with it. But here I don't really mind since I'm not really a fan of Toad anyway because of how useless and annoying he can be. It's also nice to get some voice acting in this as the story gets narrated by MM54321's friend Master of Worlds. How many times do you see that being done in an MM54321 video? Having everything be told through actual voice acting instead of text. Not that I mind the text, but voice acting makes this feel like a unique occurrence. Not to mention the parody of the song You're a Mean One Mr. Grinch is a fun parody, even though the rhymes do seem a bit forced at times and the audio balancing needed fixing, because I can barely hear the words of the song at times. It shouldn't be that hard to fix this, especially since I've seen some Master of Worlds videos that were made before this, and our audio balancing seemed fine in them, so why not here? But despite this song is still a good parody, and has some clever Mario references thrown into it. though it also makes me wish that the rest of the storytelling was more in the style of the Grinch story than The Night Before Christmas, because it's supposed to be a Grinch parody, and not to mention Night Before Christmas style narrations feel somewhat overdone, well, to me at least. So it eventually turns out that the reason Toad stole Christmas was to get revenge on Mario for accidentally running over his pizza with his cart. And yeah, that is a stupid reason, but at the same time, the video makes it clear that it's supposed to be a stupid reason, so no complaints from me. But how is this conflict resolved? Toad gets a new pizza from Santa Claus to make up for the one that was ruined. I'm surprised he's still got a present even after all that, but at least all's well that ends well. At least something happened that made him return the presents. So do I recommend this? Totally. Or should I say totally? Man, what is wrong with me? But yeah, I'd recommend this if you like Christmas stories told in rhyme. Christmas 2016, MarioMario54321's Lonely Holidays. In this one, the others find MM54321 on a lonely island, where he is stressed out about 2016, especially since he wasn't able to get more videos out that year. And that is something that I can sympathize with and even relate to, since in the same year, I had gotten a job and I felt very stressed about it, and even felt like I didn't have that much time anymore. So yeah, I can imagine how it must have been for him, and yeah, I do feel bad for him about it. Anyways, MarioMario54321 is depressed on this particular Christmas Eve, so Starman 3 tries to cheer him up, and says some really meaningful words on it, and even reminds him of the other great Christmas specials he did in the previous 9 years up to that point. And the series of flashbacks to said Christmas specials really does bring back some great memories. Though it also makes me feel a little bit bad about myself for enjoying the Roblox segments of his Merry Christmas Mario 54321 special after hearing how much of a bad memory it is to him. Well, there are some things that I felt worse about liking, so compared to those instances, I guess I don't feel as bad. And yeah, I am glad that things worked out for him in the end. Now, like with After Christmas and Christmas in New Donk City, I don't really have much else to say about this one, mainly because a lot of it consists of flashbacks to previous Christmas specials. I'd say my only problem with this is the fact that it's meant to be a continuation of his After Christmas special from the year before, but it doesn't really feel like a continuation of it other than including a flashback to it. But overall, this special itself is pretty good. The Santa Odyssey may not be as good as I remembered, but a year later we got a sequel that is definitely preferable. Simply known as Another Santa Odyssey. Luigi is wondering why there aren't any Christmas decorations up even though it's Christmas Eve. Even though there weren't any Christmas decorations on the castle since 2012, and even less up the year before this one, so I don't see anything new. But yeah, him acting like this is completely new is a minor thing. So, Mario decides to go to the North Pole and ask Santa Claus for help with it. And the fact that Shiveria is used for the North Pole, which is kinda obvious, but at least we actually spend more time there than we did in the previous Christmas special. Santa asks Mario to help deliver some presents for him if he wants his help, and it is nice to watch Mario giving presents to everyone. I didn't know this came in a Santa Claus costume, so this was a bearer of good news for me. While I wish it used a winter-related theme when Mario was delivering the presents, the Mario 64 remix of Jump Up Superstar was a pretty awesome choice of songs. I would have preferred the actual version of the song, but this was still great. I would have liked this special more, if not for one huge problem towards the end. The fact that Santa outright breaks his promise and doesn't give our heroes the Christmas decorations he promised. I don't care if he just tells Mario that the satisfaction of giving to others was worth it. He still broke his promise he made to Mario. Well, at least our heroes still get decorations at the end. And for the first time since 2012, the castle actually has Christmas decorations. It still has the Paper Mario castle design in some parts, which, once again, is still nice. But the other parts are actually decorated for Christmas like in the old days. And as always, they are beautiful while still being new. This is definitely an improvement over the first Santa Odyssey video, and if you like that one, you'll probably like this one too. The Christmas Maker. Man, I cannot believe I forgot just how good this video is. I mainly just came back to it to see what I would say about it for the list, only to be genuinely impressed by it. It starts out with some Twitch highlights of Mario Maker 2, and while it can be seen as filler, it's pretty fun to watch as far as filler goes, seeing that cool coin Triforce, and the part where we kept clicking the character icons to have them play their voice clips was also kind of funny. It reminds me of what some of my friends sometimes do when choosing their character in Smash Bros. As for the video itself, Santa Claus asks Mario if he'd be willing to do some jobs for him, where he won't receive any real payment other than the satisfaction and joy of helping others. Kinda like those volunteering jobs. I would have been bothered by that, but the fact that he only asks Mario if he'd be interested, instead of making him do it, that's what I like to see. Especially since, unlike in Another Santa Odyssey, he doesn't promise a reward that he never gives. And yes, it does feel good to help others, especially around the holidays. Especially since the jobs do look like fun, so I guess he didn't really need a reward for it. The jobs that Mario does for Santa are ones where he has to go through some custom-made Mario Maker 2 levels, which are definitely fun to see. It has some levels such as some neat puzzle levels with Link and some awesome Christmas song stages. Heck, even during the end screen, it gives us something to enjoy on it. I'm probably alone on this, but usually when I get to these kinds of end screens, I'm like, well, video over, time to click to the next one. But this one actually gave me a reason to stay until the very end. Not saying there's anything really wrong with these kinds of end screens, but this one got my interest more than those kinds of end screens normally do. Anyways, yeah, these are some pretty awesome stages, and I'd gladly agree to play them myself if it weren't for Nintendo Switch putting a paywall on online play. It also had some great moments of comedy, such as Luigi interrupting with his singing. That was pretty funny. There were only a couple parts that really did anything to bother me. One was this creepy scene with Santa and the Shy Gals, which is thankfully only 13 seconds. There was also a scene with Toad singing Let It Go. I think the only reason I was really bothered by it was just because of how much of a huge fan I am of that song, and I understand this was done for comedy, and it's not really anything offensive. At least it's not like one of those videos that's saying that all Frozen fans are stupid, like a lot of Frozen haters I had to deal with in the mid-2010s. If those are the only two things about it that I had any problem with, then you know that this is a great video. Now we get to his Christmas special from 2021, or 2022 since it was delayed, but you get the point. Now, probably the most notable thing about the Toad Family Under the Bridge is the fact that this one actually wasn't uploaded during the Christmas season. This was uploaded on Valentine's Day. But there is a good reason for that, because he didn't have a lot of time to work on it. It is better to delay something than to completely rush it out, so I don't really blame him. Plus, it also makes me feel better about getting this countdown out late. This is the longest Christmas special from this guy that isn't a multi-parter, and the longest Christmas special we got from him in over a decade, being about 24 minutes long, not including credits. This is apparently based on a book called The Family Under the Bridge, which I don't know anything about, so please forgive me if I don't understand the references in the video. But judging by what we saw of his video of How and Why the Toad Stole Christmas, I'm going to assume that this is a good parody of it. Here we meet a grumpy man named Jasper Jinglebells, who collects letters for Santa, but hates his job. Then he also meets this Toad family that lives under the bridge, hence the name of the special, which if you couldn't tell by Jasper's attitude, he doesn't show much sympathy for them. But then he gets a visit from the three spirits that were in MarioMario54321's Christmas Carol, and their designs have been updated to look more like something you'd see in his newer videos, which really shows how far this user's come. Their visit is only brief, so they don't really have time to change him, but I'm so glad to see them again with their new designs. Jasper does get an idea to have the children deliver some of the letters for him, and their mother apparently approves of letting some strange old man watch over her kids. Sure, she doesn't agree at first, but I still think she might be too easily trusting. Though Jasper does eventually grow to care more about the little kids. Yeah, someone looking after children for selfish reasons, but then growing to care for them. Yeah, how original. But I still enjoyed watching this, and from this point on in the video, this video starts to earn its spot this high on the list. Especially with the usage of Snowy Fields theme from Kirby's Epic Yarn, which if you've seen my favorite winter themes lists, you'd probably know how much I love that song. And even though it is somewhat overdone seeing him grow attached to them, there is a predictable plot twist that I'm glad he didn't do. When he takes the kids to see a mall Santa, and when he says that the mall Santa looks a lot like the real Santa. I was all like, that's going to be the real Santa, is it? But he didn't go that way, so I'm glad he didn't. Instead, it's revealed later that the actual Santa was accidentally turned into a figurine by Ashley. So yeah, this one figurine of Santa that we saw earlier was the real Santa, which is nowhere near as obvious as having the mall Santa be the real Santa. Instead, he was a fake Santa that Ashley made to stop the people from panicking. Speaking of Ashley, she plays a big part in this. And I don't know how I'd feel about her in the WarioWare games, since I haven't played them, though I have heard Ashley's song in Brawl, and it makes her sound like an annoying brat. But in this video, she was actually pretty cute, especially with how caring she is for the kids. Anyways, in the end, Jasper decides to adopt the kids, and while that is kinda cliched, it still feels nice seeing him do this. I'd say if there's any flaw in the special, it's that sometimes the text goes by too quickly. I literally had to keep pausing the video in order to read it all. But at least the text goes by at a reasonable speed in the rest of the video, and out of MM54321's Christmas specials made from the past few years, this is definitely my favorite out of them. And it probably would be even higher on the list if I didn't have a lot of nostalgia bias for the top 4. MarioMario54321's Christmas special. The first, well, Christmas special that he ever made. Now we're at the ones that I feel like I absolutely have to watch every year. Though with most of the entries near the top, I think the only reason why I'm putting them this high on the list is because of nostalgia, especially in the case with this one, but this is just how I rank them. Now, as stated in the later Christmas special that will eventually show up on this list, he didn't really go all out on it because he wasn't as popular back then. But a project can be simple and still enjoyable, and this is proof of that. One thing I like is the usage of Slateport City music, since Pokemon Sapphire was my favorite game as a kid, and it's still one of my favorite games today. And I never noticed that Slateport's theme actually does sound fitting for Christmas, despite not playing in any Christmas or winter related scenarios in its respective game. And for those of you who haven't heard it, no, that's not the song I'm playing in this entry. I'm using a completely different song. And then we have the big finale, where Mario dances to a remix of Slateport City's theme, which is apparently a new Christmas song, even though it would never be heard on any radio during the holidays. Sorry, that was jerkish of me, but it's still an enjoyable part. It was kind of a glorified move showcase, but it was actually kind of cute seeing Mario and the baby penguin dancing. And I remember for the longest time thinking that the Slateport City remix used was a fan-made Christmas remix of the song. So you can probably imagine how disappointed I was to learn that it wasn't a fan-made Christmas remix, but just a vocal remix. Still nice though. However, I will say that if you aim to watch all of Mario 54321's Christmas specials, it would probably be okay to skip this one. No, don't get the wrong idea that I'm bashing on this. I was about to say that Mario 54321 also had pretty much this entire special in a flashback during his next year's Christmas special, so you could always just watch it there. All you'd really be missing are Mr. Happy Snowball Man evaporating, Mario 54321 climbing to the highest tree and jumping down from it, the announcement of the finale, and the Happy Holidays message at the end. So I'd say you could just watch this in the flashback of that video. You'd still be enjoying this video, just not the actual video. How do I word this? But yeah, you can probably skip this, or at least watch this in the actual video, and when you get to Merry Christmas Mario 54321, watch only a couple minutes of the part 3, which I'd say is probably the better alternative since the video quality is better in the original video. Overall, for a special that doesn't really have a plot or anything like that, it's an overall good time. Mario 54321's Christmas Carol. This one is a project that managed to combine both a safe Christmas plot and a Christmas Carol style plot. And in the latter category, it's actually an interesting twist on the whole Christmas Carol formula. Instead of three spirits helping someone change their ways, they're helping someone realize what they need to do in order to save Christmas. And I like the way the ghosts are handled. The Ghost of Christmas Past, being a gold Mario recolor, is simple, but it works. And he shows MM54321 clips of his previous two Christmas specials. That's a nice trip down memory lane. It even points out a couple mistakes done in those videos. That's something I like about a person, when they're not afraid to admit to their own previous faults. Then the Ghost of Christmas Present, which is a Christmas tree with a face. Which, yeah, some of you are probably thinking, wow, what a creative design. But there's also a certain charm to it, and the way he speaks in rhyme is also a nice touch. And lastly, the Ghost of Christmas Future, which is a cloaked shadowy figure, which is pretty much a given since he's like that in pretty much every Christmas Carol adaptation, but it's still handled in a way that feels pretty awesome. And the future sequence is also pretty intense, especially with the creepy remix of Jingle Bells, which unfortunately is going to make something even more insulting, but I'll talk about that soon. This probably would have been a spot higher, if not for a large amount of seriously wasted potential. One instance is that even though I like the way the three spirits are handled, in the end, it feels like the Ghost of Christmas Present was the only one of the three that really did anything to help MM54321 learn what he needs to do to save Christmas, for he tells him that Eggman, Nega, and Bowser are taking over the North Pole, and yet MM54321 still does nothing until the third spirit comes. I'd assume it would be more important to actually get there and stop them. It is stated that the third ghost will tell him what to do when he gets there, which was done with a way too forced and insultingly obvious segue, by the way. But he doesn't even show him what to do when he gets there, he just shows him that no one will get what they want for Christmas, which was obvious anyway. I'd give credit for the Ghost of Christmas Past helping him remember to take a plane to the North Pole, if he didn't just decide to fly there on his own anyway. So instead of feeling like, I want to save Christmas but I don't know how to, it feels more like, I want to save Christmas but I'm not going to until the last ghost comes. But easily the worst case of wasted potential was what's at stake. It was established earlier that not only is Eggman putting everyone on the naughty list, but the fact that everyone doesn't even get coal and that they become Eggman's slaves instead. That is actually pretty clever and a very dark concept as far as Christmas specials go, if not for how later it completely forgets about the whole slaves thing and instead just decides, nope, let's just have everyone get coal. Yep, that dark future sequence, which was supposed to be a very dark moment, all happened because everyone's getting coal for Christmas. Which, mind you, is still bad, but having an entire dark future sequence be triggered just by that? Do I even need to begin to explain how insulting that is? The dark future would have been much more warranted if he had just stuck to the everyone becomes slaves thing. Did he even look over the story before he uploaded it to YouTube? Or was the part where our heroes are told they become Eggman's slaves the supposed surprise for Sonic and his friends that Eggman was talking about earlier? If so, the special does nothing to make it clear that that was the intention. And we don't even get any explanation as to how everyone getting coal will apparently lead him drowning in quicksand. Okay, to be fair, the other incarnations of Christmas Carol also don't explain how Scrooge's greed will lead to his death, but at least then I could kind of see the connection. Here, there's no connection. Everyone gets coal, and because of that, someone's going to die. Okay, I've complained long enough. Time to think of some more positives to warrant it being this high on the list. Well, the finale's pretty sweet. The effect used for the Northern Lights was just plain beautiful to look at. Plus, the usage of the CD version of Sherbetland's theme from Mario Hoops 3-on-3 seems like a perfect fit for when he started singing the Northern Lights. Believe it or not, I actually thought that the song was a real Christmas song for the longest time. Yeah, I was an idiot back then. And as for the final battle, even though the first of the three battles was just another texture hack-based Mario 64 final fight, except with music that for some reason feels the need to be annoyingly looped every 10 seconds, the other two battles definitely make up for it. The battle against Eggman Nega was actually a ski race instead of a battle, which is great for the holidays, and a nice way to shake things up. And then the final battle against Eggman was actually a three-phase battle with the Eggman fights in the winter levels of all three Sonic Advance games. That's pretty awesome too. And let's not forget... That joke could have easily gotten annoying, but amazingly enough, it worked. For me at least. I can imagine it probably would have gotten annoying to a few people, but to others, including me, it was pretty funny. I'll admit it was a little annoying at times, but not annoying enough to the point of being unbearable. I also like what they did with the castle, with how every painting actually had Christmas-themed artwork as opposed to in their last Christmas special, which just said the words Merry Christmas. This, however, actually has real Christmas artwork, including one of the Christmas Carol movie that came out that year, and Lethal Lava Land's painting is a volcano that shoots Christmas presents. That managed to keep the volcano theme while still being Christmassy. Overall, I'm glad to come back to this every year because it really is a masterpiece. I still can't stand the wasted potential, but that's more so like screaming kids at Disney World than something that would actually ruin the experience. It is really annoying, but it's not enough to ruin my enjoyment of the rest of the experience. I'm sorry this was a long entry, it's just that this was over an hour, so I had a lot to say about it. Well, on to the next one. Merry Christmas Mario54321 was the first Christmas special where he really went all out on, and it's still a lot of fun to watch by today's standards. The story's plot is that Candy Cow 7 and the Grinch team up to steal Christmas, and while I wish this could have done a bit more with the Grinch, I still liked seeing him in this. Some other things I enjoy are the scene where Santa Claus tells Candy Cow 7 about all the naughty deeds he had done throughout the year. That was a nice trip down memory lane too. I still have no idea how going against the bad guys is a naughty deed, but the others I can definitely agree on. And the way he used the Target Test theme from the original Smash Bros. During it, I find it to be humorously fitting. I also really like the usage of Roblox footage. Even though I don't really have any interest in playing Roblox, the usage of it still looks pretty neat, even if that one level in it is a bad memory for MM54321. Anyways, our heroes have to get to the North Pole, which, yes, I know some people find the whole journey to the North Pole plot to be really cliched. I'm looking at you, Mr. Enter. But to me, the idea of a journey to the North Pole feels so magical that half the time I don't even care how common it is. Though as great as this special is, there are some parts where the text kinda gets cut off, and some moments of filler in the special feel like they were put in for the sole purpose of having 12 parts for the whole 12 Days of Christmas thing, such as the previously mentioned flashback to the first Christmas special, as well as the scene where they have to find the scattered presents, which goes on for too long, and part 5, which is just 7.5 completely pointless minutes of him trying to get out of a giant hole, which you could literally cut out of the special and you'd miss nothing, except maybe this cool arcade machine with Ouija on it towards the end of it. I usually either just fast forward these moments of filler or just skip them entirely. Speaking of filler, there's also the monorail scene, though I find it strangely relaxing, so no complaints here. So eventually, later in the plot, the Grinch and Candy Cow 7's hearts grow 3 sizes, just like with the Grinch in the movie. I am kinda bothered that the Grinch completely disappears for the remainder of the special after this, but at the same time, it is really nice seeing Candy Cow 7 reform and apologize to everyone for what he did, even though, once again, he didn't need to apologize for betraying the bad guys, but it was still nice seeing him apologize to the good guys. The special did kinda take the easy way out by revealing, oh, he was good all along, he was just being possessed by a villain named Shadowbell Cow. But seeing him turn good was still nice to watch. Or at least it would be if MM54321 decided to have him stay good, instead of pulling a Once Upon a Time Rumpelstiltskin on us in the Dark Star X saga and having him go back to being evil later. It's not really part of this project, but it just takes a huge dump all over this great character development. I just have to ask, why? Why did he have him go back to being evil again? What next? Are you gonna tell me that after the events of Christmas Carol, Scrooge just one day decides to go back to being a stingy old miser again? Well, at least Merry Christmas Mario 54321 is still a masterpiece. But why is it this high on the list? Well, I don't really have a better reason for putting it this high on the list other than just simply because of nostalgia. But either way, combine the positives I just listed with a few cute moments from Sonic characters, and some cute jokes told by Master Hand and Crazy Hand, and you've got yourself a wonderful Christmas special that I'm proud to watch on a yearly basis. Mario's Christmas Adventure. Okay, maybe I have a bit of nostalgia bias because this was the first MM54321 machinima I saw, and because it came out at a great time in my life, but I just couldn't resist putting it at number 1, even if the video quality hasn't aged well. And even then, it was understandable by 2010 standards. This special isn't over an hour like the previous 2 entries were, but I think it's overall better than both of them. The plot is that Santa has caught a disease that is preventing him from being able to deliver the presents. Not really anything as big as the previous 2, but still not a bad idea. One thing I appreciate is how, unlike in most Christmas specials, the South Pole actually plays a decent role in it. Sure, it's been mentioned in some Christmas specials, but usually it's just saved for throwaway lines. But here, it actually plays an important role, for that's where Mario finds the cure. Now, it makes sense that the North Pole would be talked about more often than the South Pole, since the North Pole is much more exciting in Christmas specials, but it's nice to see the South Pole also get some representation, especially with the return of the beautiful Aurora Lights, and with the Mario Hoops 3-on-3 Sherbetland theme like I previously mentioned. Speaking of which, I wonder why I didn't put that on my favorite Mario Winter themes list. And there are also some good jokes in it, such as the running gag of it bashing on Fred Figglehorn's Christmas Cash song, especially when Mario uses that as a way to torture King Bob-omb into telling him where the cure is. And yeah, that song can go jump off a cliff. And Lily's performance in this is also really cute. I'd prefer if the special used a drawing of her instead of her sprite because her drawing is cuter in my mind, but I still like her performance. It's a shame we don't see her again in MM54321's more recent videos, because I really enjoy her performances. I'm guessing the reason Lily hasn't appeared in more of these guys' videos is because her use has been inactive in recent years, but I still miss her. And we also have the usage of Jack Frost from that one Jack Frost movie. I don't know how I'd feel about the actual movie since I haven't seen it, but I've heard bad things about it. However, I still find his role in this strangely interesting, and it's also pretty awesome seeing the Polar Express in this too. It was also used in the Christmas special from the year before, which I didn't mention since that entry was long enough as it was, but I feel like it used even more of its potential here than it did there, since it did the whole ticket thing from the movie. And it made me love the movie Polar Express even more, and is one of the reasons why Polar Express is tied with Santa Claus is Coming to Town as my favorite Christmas movie. Funny enough, this part came out on the same day I watched Polar Express again that year. Are there any issues with it? Well, other than the fact that he had to audio swap some parts because of stupid copyright, which isn't really his fault, and can easily be fixed by clicking the Google Drive links in the description, I'd say the only thing I have any problem with is a common misconception in thinking that Claus is spelled with an E at the end. Especially since we've seen him spell it correctly before in his first ever Christmas special, and even in this one in a few instances. Or did he intend to spell it incorrectly to make a nice shout out to the movie or whatever? If so, then it just feels really forced. Oh well, nothing too bad, and if that's my only problem with this special, then I think that's definitely enough to justify me regarding this as what I personally think is my favorite out of all of Mario54321's Christmas specials. I hope you enjoyed this countdown, I wish you all a merry late Christmas, and here's to more great Christmas specials from this guy in the future.